Over to my very first guest. I always look forward to a Thursday because I am joined for the first 60 sizzling minutes of every Thursday night show by senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kiszely. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's just great to see you.
Always a pleasure, mate. Now, let's kick off with this extraordinary story that we learned today, thanks to a whistleblower, that there are at least 53,000 illegal migrants on the run here in Britain. And the story is ridiculous. So these are asylum seekers whose applications, this doesn't have much, as I said in my monologue, but these are asylum seekers whose applications failed. They are then told, right, you're going to be deported, so we're going to put you on immigration bail. So off you go, and in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever, we want you to come back here, and then we'll deport you. We'll send you back to your homeland, to your native country. I mean, as I said, do you see a problem here? You know, and guess what? At least 53,000 of them said, you know what, I think I won't go back. I think I'll just disappear. So that is what has been happening. Now, this was leaked by an exasperated whistleblower to the MP Rupert Lowe, former Reform guy, now independent member for Great Yarmouth. And he's calling this as a national emergency. Find all these people, can you? And go through with what we told them we were going to do, which was deport them. That's a long shot, obviously. And guess what? Guess who's not commenting? No comment, said the Home Office. This system is sort of naive to the point of absurd, isn't it? I mean, this is ridiculous. One more element of our ludicrous asylum system, the migrant crisis that makes no sense whatsoever in so many ways. You know, the whole thing of, oh, you just crossed the channel illegally, you just broke our laws. Here's a 4-star hotel. Would you like 50 quid a week? Here's a lawyer, here's a dentist, here's a doctor. You know, well, the whole system is crazy. Now, when we decide to deport them, we tell them, now off you go, and you better come back here in a couple of weeks. We expect to see you here. This is ridiculous.
Well, I couldn't believe it when I read this. This is the most cavalier nature of how we keep the British people safe is just incredible. Just to let them go. I mean, Tony Smith, Kev, who was the former Director General of the Border Force, he said, oh, it's quite easy for them to disappear. It's quite easy for them to go walkabout, and we don't get them back. And if we do get them back, then they just put in another application. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. And, you know, you're saying that it's a sort of cavalier way that we deal with these people. I just think it's, yes, there's a cavalier element to it, the Home Office firing on no cylinders yet again, but also I just think it's naive, absurd, born yesterday, never going to work, ludicrous.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, to say it's cavalier is a bit of an understatement. As I say, it's dangerous. And we're in this situation where we have all of these people, we let them loose, and of course they go away. So we need to change the system. We can do a couple of things. Actually, we should put them in camps, which are similar to prisoner of war camps, and keep an eye on them. I mean, properly keep an eye on them. Yeah. You know, that's one way. First, Kev, that's one way of dealing with it. But of course, the real way of dealing with it is not to allow them to come over in the first place. Now, I just made a speech the other night in Westminster about this, and so the stats are very fresh in my mind. In 2018, under 300 people came over in small boats. Okay, in 2018, under 300 migrants came over in small boats.
Those were the days.
Yeah, cut to 2022, 45,000 came over, right? In 1 year, 45,000 came over. So not only is it out of control there, once we get them in here, we literally put women and children at risk. We put everybody at risk, because what are they going to do? They're going to break the law, aren't they, to survive? They're on the run. They're on the lam, you know. So all of this stuff, again, Rupert said this was a national emergency. He's absolutely right. We've said, the both of us have said this on this show several times before. There's nothing new there. We've said this about similar kinds of things because we talked about this an awful lot. This is a national emergency, but of course they will do nothing about it, and it will just get worse. Meanwhile, we see story after story, week after week, day after day of another child's been raped. You know, another woman's been assaulted. There's been another murder. You know, there's mayhem on our streets. There's mayhem in our cities, and they will do nothing about it. So, you know, again, as I say, we've said it before. This is very definitely a national emergency.
It certainly is. We're going to talk later on. I don't want to dwell on it now because I've got it slotted for us to discuss towards the end of the hour. But did you notice that in Rachel Reeves' Budget from Hell speech yesterday, she slipped in, apparently 23-24 that year, we spent £4.5 billion accommodating asylum seekers, illegal migrants who come across the channel unlawfully. This is projected to rise to, over the next 10 years, apparently, £15 billion. So what I think, you know, apart from the fact that's a jaw-dropping amount of money, the headline on it is, oh, so you don't have any expectation or plans to solve this migrant crisis anytime soon. You're budgeting for £15 billion to accommodate all these people who keep breaking into our country. That's Labour's plans. You know, interesting little element of her horrible speech yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you just see you see where we're going. It's a roadmap, isn't it, of what our society is going to be like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time. And I tweeted today that any sense of governance has just gone out of the window, and any sense,
isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but they're not even pretending now to be honest or to try and present some kind of narrative or story. We'll probably talk about that later. But they're not even pretending to cover up that kind of thing. You know, the kind of thing, the one thing that the British people desperately do not want. We do not want more illegal immigrants, but they are budgeting now, massively budgeting now, for massive scaling, and that is just so worrying.
It really is, and these people, you're right. I mean, they apply for asylum, they get refused. There's no limit on how often they can appeal, which in itself is ridiculous. But a lot of them, as we're finding out today, they just say, well, sod this, and they just disappear. And that adds grist to the mill of the belief on some people's part that we have millions of people in this country that we don't know about. Millions. Now, one of the untold stories of the migrant crisis is when they come across the channel. You know, so first of all, we never talk about the people. We assume they all get caught. You know, but they get caught in the middle of the channel and then ferried in on the Border Force taxi service and all that. But what about those who actually make it? Not so long ago, a boat was actually caught on the beach at Folkestone. It did actually make it. What about those who make it? Also, there's this idea that every single migrant that arrives, when they put into the hotel, they're in the system. Well, apparently quite a few of them, they take the opportunity to spend a night in a nice 4-star hotel, wash and brush up, have a breakfast, and then disappear. Yeah. This system is leakier than a sieve. It requires, or it needs, the cooperation of these people who came here illegally. You know, can you do this? Could you, right, you're on immigration bail now, don't you dare disappear, don't you dare go missing. Oh, they've gone missing when we told them not to. It is naive, isn't it?
Well, it's like giving prisoners a key to the front door and saying, no,
don't you dare go out.
It's just there in case there's an emergency, but you must not use that. You know what I mean? It's naive beyond belief. But I mean, there are a couple of things here. Increasingly, we've got no idea how many people are in this country, right? We've got absolutely no idea.
Saying, yeah.
Well, and we've got no idea of the makeup of this country either. And so you've got all of these people. They are, so dangerous because they're from a culture that is, one, not only incompatible with ours, but two, a culture that is absolutely broken by strife, war, civil war, and God knows what. So they are bringing all of this psychosis into this country, and it just feels as though, once they're here and they're on the run, of course they've got mobile phones, of course they could communicate with people at home, and they will be telling them, look, it's great, you can do what you want, there are no laws, it's an absolute free-for-all, come on over. So it feeds upon itself. This is why, we started in 2018 with a few hundred people. By 2022, which was the high point, we had 45,000, and they will keep coming. If there are opportunities here, and by opportunities we mean criminal opportunities, okay, then they will come in their droves, and we are doing nothing about it. They are, again, as I said last week, Kev, they are laughing at us, and rightly so, because we are a joke of a country.
Yeah, we are. And the last element of this, you mentioned about the analogy of it's like giving prisoners the key and saying, don't you dare unlock that door. Well, a lot of these 53,000 are actually, some of them, when they get the verdict, right, you're being deported, we do actually put them into allegedly proper detention centres. They're often by airports. I think there's one at Gatwick and so on and so forth. And a lot of them are absconding from these places. So it seems to me there's probably a security issue at these detention centres. These are the detention centres, by the way. People who are about to be deported, they give things like free art classes and gym sessions and so on and so forth. And which sort of indicates that maybe we're not talking Parkhurst or San Quentin here. It's not Alcatraz. So some of them are getting out from there. Others are ludicrously told that you're going to be deported, but we're letting you out onto the streets, and you better come back here. And they didn't come back. What a shock. 53,000, I bet it's more than that.
Well, the problem we've got is the people who are in charge of all of this kind of stuff, the people who naturally gravitate to dealing with migrants and refugees are precisely the kinds of people, the lefty, blue-haired, identitarian, Britain-hating, people. They should be nowhere near this industry. They should be a million miles away from it. I think there should be a rule, Kev, where if you only reform voters can deal with.
How about this one, Philip? No blue-haired judges, immigration tribunal judges. They mustn't have blue hair because most of them might as well have blue hair. They might as well go in there reading their copy of The Guardian before they make some ludicrously liberal decision about allowing a paedophile to stay in the country, because if he goes back to his own country, he will be persecuted, or he's got a right to a family life, all that nonsense. This story just is another reminder what an utter omnishambles our migrant crisis is, and no signs of it being solved, because Rachel Reeves let us know yesterday that the Labour government at least expect it to go on 10 years and more. Thanks very much. Well, we're going to talk about a similar story when we come back, and it alludes to what happened in Washington last night, that shooter, the guy who gunned down two poor National Guard soldiers on the streets of Washington, just yards from the White House, turns out to be an Afghani migrant. We'll talk about that next. Welcome back. I'm still with Philip Kiszely, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Philip, yesterday it was breaking as we were on air last night. So in the middle of the day in Washington, D.C., a shooter gunned down two National Guard soldiers in Washington. They're both in critical condition. The shooter too was hurt. We understand he is in hospital. We saw footage of him being put into an ambulance. He didn't seem too badly injured to me. And bizarrely, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, but this is another issue. He didn't have any clothes on.
Yeah.
I couldn't work that out. Was it? Maybe, yeah, maybe anybody's got some ideas about this. We'll try and find out. Was it that they stripped him in case he had any other weapons or anything like that? Anyway, he didn't look like he was wasting away either. I think he spent his time in America since 2021 eating pies. But anyway, he was getting loaded into an ambulance with nothing on. The other two guards, the poor National Guards, are fighting for their lives. Now, as this story broke, we didn't know who it was, but it turned out to be a 29-year-old Afghani migrant called Raman Lakhanwal. Now, Raman Lakhanwal arrived in America in September 2021 after the disastrous US withdrawal from Afghanistan. And he came to America under Joe Biden's, and this is what it's called, Operation Allies Welcome Scheme. And we have a similar scheme here, by the way, and we'll get to that in a second, which was a way for people, Afghanis who'd helped the US forces and the British forces, collaborated if you like, to be given, you know, their reward by being allowed to come to America or Britain, because Afghanistan, Taliban would be very unsafe for them. So that's why he was there. There are reports that as he opened fire on these two poor guys just in the street, just yards from the White House, he was shouting Allahu Akbar. We'll await the results of the legal process over there, but President Trump not unexpectedly saying they're really going to throw the book at him. Now, he had worked alongside the CIA and the US Special Forces in his own country, apparently. Donald Trump's furious with Joe Biden for allowing all these people in, and he's now calling for a review of all Afghani migrants residing in America, and is absolutely seething about Biden's migrant-friendly policies. Before we go on about this, and before we translate this situation to Britain, here's Donald Trump talking about this shocking incident.
If they can't love our country, we don't want them. Earlier today, on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, 2 members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. I can report tonight that, based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021 on those infamous flights that everybody was talking about. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world. No country can tolerate such a risk to our very survival. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that.
Yeah, he was hit because obviously the National Guards returned fire, but he didn't look too bad to me, but let's see. But the other, the poor National Guard guys are fighting for their life. Now, the point is, Philip, you heard what the president said there. Now, we had a similar scheme here. Called the Afghan Resettlement Program. You remember that we found out that the government kept this a secret from us, actually took out a super injunction to make sure the people didn't know that they were flying thousands of Afghani nationals into Britain who said they'd been helping the British during the long war there. So the situation we have now is we've had 35,000 under this scheme since 2021. 35,700 Afghan nationals have been resettled to Britain under this scheme, the Afghan resettlement program, and an additional 33,970 have applied for asylum since October 2021. So altogether, that means we have around 70,000 Afghan refugees and asylum seekers in the UK. My phrase of today is, do you see a potential problem here? Now, we are not famous for how closely we vet these foreign nationals that we allow to come and live here. So we've got 70,000 Afghan nationals, most of whom we won't know the first thing about living in this country. Now, think about what happened in Washington. Think about what the president said. If we had anything like a proper government, they'd be saying the same thing, wouldn't they? We need to vet every single one of these Afghani nationals. They won't do that, but this is worrying, isn't it?
It's incredibly worrying, and it just everything I said before about the kind of society they're coming from stands, doesn't it? It was just really interesting to see President Trump talking then, because he looked genuinely angry. He really did look angry, and he said one thing that was really important: if they do not add benefit. That's further than if they're, you know, it's not just that they're not a danger. It's if they do not add benefit, then they should not be here. And I think that's incredibly important, because that's the opposite of the other mindset, which is, oh, they helped us in Afghanistan, so therefore they have a God-given right to come into our country. You know, we work together. We work together every week. That doesn't mean to say that I can just go and live in your house, does it? Do you know what I mean?
It's not big enough, Philip. No, but I take your point. Yeah, of course.
But it's exactly that kind of thing. Now, 70,000. I was just thinking about that, right? Where I come from, Bury, that only has, that's a town, that's a northern town. It's a fairly substantial northern town. It only has 81,000 people in it. There are 81,000 inhabitants of Bury. So this is nearly the size of a standard northern town that we're talking about, this population of people. That is enormous. That has a huge impact on our society. The ripple effect there is massive. When we talk about immigration and we talk about mass immigration, and people say, oh, well, we've always been an immigrant culture, and remember the Huguenots, and this is as many as, you know, as the Huguenots came, the whole thing. So it's absolutely extraordinary, and we're only talking about one small, you know, element of demographic of people, with the rest of the people coming in as well. So it is absolutely, it has a huge impact on us, and it's really, really frightening. I think, what do we get from this kind of stuff? Well, we get, you know, I'm not just talking about Afghanis here. I'm talking about mass immigration generally. We get Turkish barbers, don't we? We get kebab shops, and we get
nail bars.
Yeah, nail bars. But we get child rape. So, you know, essentially, is it worth it? Is it worth for, you know, the kebab shops and the Turkish barbers, the nail bars? This is what we get. We need benefit from these people, or else they should go.
You see, you're right. You see, so Donald Trump is saying, well, you know, we need to know. America wants to ask all these Afghanis, and indeed all migrants, what benefit will you bring to our country? What benefit will you bring to America? What we say to our migrants is, what benefits can we give you? What benefits can we pay you? A lot of these Afghani migrants who came on this resettlement scheme, they've been put straight to the front of the queue for housing, for social housing, and also they've got deals where they've got benefits for life. They've been told, you don't really have to work, we'll pay you benefits for the rest of your lives. But I think the thing that we have to worry about seriously, when you think of what happened in Washington, you know, everything else about this resettlement scheme is annoying, particularly the fact that this government tried to keep this a secret using the legal system. Do you remember that? A judge, finally, after the government, the Tories it was, kept going back to the High Court to say, can we renew this? And in the end, I think by the time Labour were in, one High Court judge said, no, this is, you should not be doing this. You are the government of this country. You are democratically elected. It is not for you to use the British legal system to keep the people, the electorate, in the dark. He lost his temper and said, no, we're not doing this anymore. So the people got to know. So everything about this is annoying. But when you think of what happened in Washington, there's another element to this that we should probably be more worried about. Who are these people? 70,000 of them. What are their real attitudes to us? This is the problem. This is the problem, and 70,000 of them. So look, folks, you let me know what you think about this, but I think this is a source of grave concern, and as I said in my monologue, to the political class who let this happen, who continue to let this happen, what on earth do you think you're playing at? Seriously. 03444991000. When we'll come back, Philip, we'll talk a little bit about the budget, and we'll go through Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer's rather uncomfortable day today. That next. Stay tuned. Well, yesterday it was the budget from hell. 43 brand new taxes that are going to make all of our lives hell. Almost as many promises broken, lies, unbelievable. So a really uncomfortable day for both the Chancellor, Rachel from Accounts, Rachel Reeves, and of course the Prime Minister. Well, it started off badly for Rach. When she appeared on Good Morning Britain on ITV, the breakfast show there, and Susanna Reid wasn't letting her off the hook in any way whatsoever. Check this out.
In your manifesto, you said Labour will not increase its taxes on working people. Then, last year in your budget, you acknowledged that extending the freeze on thresholds on tax would hurt working people, which is why you said last year you would not do it. How can anyone believe anything you say?
I'm Chancellor in the world as it is, not in the world that I might like it to be. And I do have to respond to new forecasts and events unfolding around the world. So from 2028, I have made that decision to freeze those thresholds.
Yeah, she keeps making this point about, oh, yeah, but we said rates, you see, you didn't really listen properly to what our promises was. No, rubbish. I'm not saying she's a liar, but she's broken all of her promises. But let's go on to a man that we well know lies all the time. That's the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Here he is getting skewered by usually a rather friendly interviewer, Beth Wrigley from Sky News, but Beth was on rather fiery form here. Check this out.
You said during the election that you wouldn't be able to pay for a lift in the child benefit cap. You said it's a difficult thing. I want to put it in my manifesto. We can't. I'm being honest with the public. We can't afford it because I don't want to put people's taxes up. You've done exactly the opposite. You've lost the confidence of this.
Let me answer that, Beth. I absolutely do believe that we've got to lift children out of poverty. We've had a two-child cap in place for the best part of 10 years. The net result of that is hundreds of thousands of children have been living in poverty. That has a massive impact on their health. Go to any hospital, ask them what is the link between poverty and health. It's a direct link, and those children will not have the opportunity to go as far as their talents will. I'm not going to apologise for lifting 500,000 children out of poverty. I'm proud that this Labour government has done more on child poverty than any government has ever done.
Prime Minister, final question. You said you would do politics differently. You would put country before party. Instead, you have done today something your party wanted to save your own skin. You are not a government of service. You're a government of self-preservation.
I don't know how many interviews we've done.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he's broken the manifesto. And did you hear, Philip, when he said, let me answer this question, and then didn't answer it. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. You know, this was a guy who came in, I'm the moderate Labourer, I'm centrist, and we're going to be sensible. And I have to tell you, you know, the two-child benefit cap is the only thing we can do sensibly economically. We can't afford anything more. And now, because of his backbenchers, him and Rachel Reeves are just puppets on the backbench strings. So they're doing exactly what they're told. And Labour backbenchers, these left-wing backbenchers, they're obsessed with child poverty, lifting children out of child poverty. I'm not sure, for them it's just a sort of concept that they revolve around. I'm not sure they know even what they're talking about. They go, got to stop child poverty. People in poverty, got to put them out of poverty. So, you know, the two-child cap gets lifted. Now you can have 100 kids if you like, and the government will pay for every single one. We're going to go back to the dark days of when some parents did this for an industry. It was their job. They churn out 9, 10, 12 kids and get £100,000 a year. And we can't afford it. This is going to cost us £3.5 billion over the next year. We can't afford this. They've been bullied into this, Rachel and Keir Starmer, but it's the lying. It's the manifesto promise breaks. You know, they've broken every promise in the book. They lie. They're out of rope, aren't they? They are out of rope.
Well, it's just the brazenness about it, isn't it? You know, well, I made that promise. Well, that was last year. Of course I've changed. Of course I'm going to break it now. This is this year. Things have changed, you know. Yeah. What's the point in having a manifesto? I mean, there's just something about this. He's saying that, you know, we're lifting children out of poverty. You know, lifting that cap is doing precisely the opposite. It's condemning children to be born into a benefits culture. And I was just looking at some of the figures, and they're just absolutely eye-watering, Kev. So there are 25, what's going to happen over the next a few years, 25,000 big families will claim benefits of £300 million a year, you know. That's 333 billion for welfare in 25-26. Now, he said that he's asked everyone to make a contribution. He's not asking everyone to make a contribution. He's just asking working people to prop up the benefits vote that he wants, the benefit vote that will keep his backbenchers quiet, and also it has to be said as well, it's the Muslim bloc vote, isn't it? So this is just the most unethical. This is the most unethical prime minister. This is the worst liar. This is the worst government. This is, I've said it before, it's almost like a government of occupation. They are working against us. Meanwhile, anybody who can get out of the country, anybody who's got a little bit of money is going to go. People are fleeing. Young people are going. People who earn any kind of money are going. This country is just going into catastrophe. The plane has hit the mountain. It is just appalling. It is so terrifying. And there he is, and there she is. You know, they're both saying the same thing. They're both talking exactly the same way.
They're being ordered around by these backbenchers. That's what this budget yesterday was not for the country. You remember they said service the country first. This wasn't for the country. This was for the left-wingers in the party. This was a survival technique, by a desperate survival bid by Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer to appease their left-wing backbenchers so that they stay in their job. They may well hang on to their job for 6 months, 7 months, but they're going to go anyway. But that's what this is about, and because of this budget, it is now firmly predicted that by 2030, our current welfare bill is an obscene, grotesque £320 billion a year, some say slightly more. But by 2030, it is now predicted that this country's welfare bill will be nudging £430 billion a year. So what happened yesterday? It was a landmark budget. It was the moment that this country went from being a country that ostensibly at least encouraged entrepreneurialism, encouraged individual dynamism, work hard, gain from it. It went from that kind of country to a country where those that work, those who run businesses, will now be required to feed the giant beast of our welfare system. We are working to maintain our welfare system. We are now a country we are a welfare system with a country attached.
Yeah, I think we are paying taxes, I think, for three main things. Okay, welfare, yeah, the NHS,
of course,
and migrants.
Yep.
That is what we're working for. Now, we are the people in this country who are entrepreneurs, who run businesses, who pay taxes. They are second-class citizens. Okay, especially if you're white, if you're male, if you're middle-aged. You know, I'm speaking from experience here.
Talking for a friend, yeah.
Yeah, we are paying for those things, and we are getting absolutely nothing in return. We're not even getting law and order. We're not even getting safe streets. It is just the most appalling thing, and the country is grinding to a halt. This is the stuff. You know, Professor David Betts has said this, and I'm only repeating it. But these are the conditions in which we tip over into Banana Republic style stuff. These are the conditions that we tip over into civil war type territory.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
It is that bad. By the way, the government has done a dramatic U-turn in the last couple of hours. I rather like this one actually, but it's still a lie. In their manifesto, this government pledged, ludicrously in my view, to offer all workers the right to claim unfair dismissal from the very first day of their job. So you could walk in, be given a job, somehow the bosses didn't like you or something after 2 hours, I don't know, maybe you're 3 hours late or something, they throw you out. You could claim for unfair dismissal from the first day of the job. They've changed that now to you won't have the right to claim for unfair dismissal for 6 months. Makes a lot more sense to me, but it's another blatant manifesto pledge just shamelessly broken.
I'm quite surprised they've done that actually, because it's pressure from businesses, even Labour. The businesses were just saying, "Come on, you cannot do this." Even Labour had to accept 1 day unfair dismissal claims. I mean, that's just comedy stuff, ridiculous. So that's why they've done it. But it still amounts to a manifesto promise that they've broken. But it's almost like they're governing by the hour, Kev. They're trying to appease, this lobby of people. They're trying to appease that lobby of people. They're trying to, they're trying to appease their backbenchers. And who can they really punish and allow themselves to do this? It's the taxpayer. It's the people. It's the backbone of this country. This country used to be a nation of shopkeepers, didn't it? It used to be, that's the quintessential British entrepreneurs, small businesses, people who work for themselves, people who make things happen. Now it's a country of benefits, with this government flailing around its weakness, and people smell weakness, and so from that you get the economy crashing because there's no confidence.
Exactly right. It's as Kemi Badenoch, who was very good yesterday, by the way. She was brilliant, but she called it. I mean, I think it was her opening line, quite rightly. This is the benefits street budget, and that's what it is. We are now purely a benefits and welfare country. Those that work are required to feed our gigantic welfare system. That is not healthy. That is economic death. It really is. Let's go to break, and we'll go back to asylum seekers hotels. New statistics on how many people we're putting up in hotels. That next. Stay tuned. welcome back. Just a few minutes till we get to the 8 o'clock news. Philip, I'm still with Philip Kiszely from the New Culture Forum. New statistics reveal that the number of asylum seekers in taxpayer-funded hotels has soared to 36,273, the highest level for 2 years. And the total number of asylum seekers has risen to 111,651. That's an increase of 5,600 in 3 months. That's why Rachel put in her speech yesterday, as we discussed earlier, that the cost of accommodating asylum seekers is set to set us back £15.3 billion over the next decade. In fairness, the 11,651 figure is not the highest. It's below the peak of just under 124,000 in September 2023, Philip, but it is still rising fast. This from a government that was going to tell us, or is determined to tell us, that it will be reducing the use of asylum seeker hotels. The use of asylum seeker hotels is rocketing.
Yeah, well, as we've established tonight, and we've established many times before, they will tell us absolutely anything. But as you said, I think the really important thing that you've taken from this, Kev, is that they are planning for this in the future. But they are governing against us primarily. That is what's happening. Polls out today showed that Reform are on 31%, and the Labour Party are back down to 15% as a response to Rachel Reeves and everything that's happened over the last couple of days. They're below the Tories, who are doing a bit better, and they're below the Green Party. So they are in a terrible mess, but they are dragging us down with them. I'm frightened where this is going to go.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, the Home Office of saying that a record 110,051 people claimed asylum in the UK for the year ending to September. That's up 13% on the previous year and 7% more than the previous peak of 103,000 in 2002. So everything is rocketing. This government is nowhere near, not even starting to solve this crisis. It is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. This is frightening, Philip. It really is. Everything is a shambles.